Several days ago, a city council member over in the state of California was arrested on multiple felony charges related to voter fraud for his actions during the 2020 election cycle. Specifically, Mr. Shakir Khan of San Joaquin County was discovered by the local sheriff's office to be stashing at least 41 filled-in mail-in ballots at his home, registering at least 23 people to vote using his home as their address, as well as using his email and his phone number to register another 47 people. And according to footage that was obtained by the sheriffs, who actually went out into the community and spoke with the local residents, those people explain how Mr. Khan allegedly pressured them to vote for him, as well as how he, again allegedly, falsified their voter registration documents. According to the San Joaquin District Attorney, Mr. Shakir Khan has now been officially charged with procuring false voter registrations, falsely filing a declaration of candidacy, voting more than once, registering a fictitious person to vote, among several other election-related crimes. Now, before I explain to you the details of how this investigation actually played itself out, as well as what the sheriffs found, I should quickly mention two things. The first is that if you appreciate content like this, I hope you consider smashing those like and subscribe buttons so this video can be shared out to ever more people via the YouTube algorithm. The second point is that here in the US, everyone, no matter who, is presumed innocent until proven guilty. And in an interview with a local news outlet, Mr. Khan suggested that all these charges have no merit. Here's specifically what he said, quote, "My family and myself, we are going through some hard time right now, and we are looking forward to fighting these charges." And so just keep that in mind as we go through the findings that came out of the sheriff's office, which quite frankly appear to be quite significant. That's because, according to Sheriff Patrick Withrow, who is the sheriff of San Joaquin County, he said that a long and thorough investigation uncovered a rather large election racket. Here's specifically what he said in a statement, quote, "Councilmember Shakir Khan attempted to undermine, manipulate, and violate one of our most fundamental rights here in our country, and that is the right to free and fair elections. It appears Councilmember Shakir Khan has targeted members of his own community, our Pakistani community in the North County." And so let's go through exactly how this alleged targeting played itself out. During a press conference, the sheriff's office laid out exactly how their investigation got started, as well as what they actually wound up discovering. So to start with, this is what the sheriff said happened in the beginning of the year 2019. I'll show you the press conference, and just for your reference, I'll speed up the video just a little bit so we can get through it faster. Here it is.
It started back in 2019. We began to see a spike in criminal activity on the Waterloo corridor in East Stockton. And some of the violent activity that we saw was, robberies, assault with deadly weapons. There was even a homicide out there. So we tasked the team to find out what the root cause of that violent activity was, and began an investigation to find out what was going on and if there was anything that we could do to restore order in that area. So as my team began to investigate and look into the matters of what was going on out there, they located a series of illegal internet gambling locations. These are locations that are set up in random buildings, back of stores.
Okay, so just to pause here and summarize, there was an increase in crime in the local area. The sheriffs came in and they attempted to, among other things, shut down locations engaged in illegal gambling. Almost all of them complied, except for one, the single outfit that happened to be owned by Mr. Shakir Khan. And so the next step was to get warrants for both the business as well as for Mr. Khan's residence. And while the sheriffs were expecting to find items related to, let's say, illegal gambling, what they weren't expecting to find is several dozen already filled-in mail-in ballots. Take a listen.
We found something that was highly unusual. We found sealed and completed ballots, 41 ballots in this particular box. And we thought to ourselves, so that is weird. It doesn't seem right to us. But we're not election people, okay? We do other types of crimes and things of that nature. But when we saw this, we thought something's off here. But we didn't know if we had a crime at this particular point because there was a recent change in election law, and people could turn in ballots on behalf of another. There's drop boxes, there's multi-day voting, things of that nature. So we thought, you know what? Let's just photograph them, leave them in place, let the election proceed unimpeded. So
And so just to pause here for a super quick moment, as you heard in that presentation, because this happened in California, the sheriff's office wasn't exactly sure whether finding 41 filled out ballots in someone's residence constituted an actual crime. That is, you can say, the beauty of California's election laws. Regardless, though, the sheriff's office did wind up indicting Mr. Khan for other charges back in 2021. Not for the election-related stuff, but rather for the matters related to the alleged illegal gambling operation that was being run out of that outfit. However, their investigation into the local voter rolls and local election integrity in general didn't stop. Here's how the sheriffs continued.
Now remember, this is back in 2021, and during 2021, people were complaining around the nation, like the sheriff had said, about their concern with the way the 2020 election had been run and the shortcomings therein. And our county was no different, and we were aware of it, but we didn't have any proof or anything like that. We had some anomalies here that just seemed weird, but we didn't know if it was illegal because of the change in the voting law. So, as the 2022 midterm election began to spin up, some concerned citizens continued to reach out. They would attend our local board meetings and voice their concerns and ask for a change back to the way things, quote unquote, used to be with one-day voting, in-person voting, no drop boxes, things of that nature. So they were very vocal at these board supervisors meetings, and we attend those. We listened to what they had to say. Ultimately, a citizen contacted us and said, hey, I've gone through the voter rolls because I was looking into some of the stuff going on with my grandma, and as I was going through the voter rolls, I noticed some anomalies and some weird things, and I'd like to have a meeting. So ultimately, we did take that meeting. We sat down with them, and this person showed us the voter roll analysis that they had conducted, and sure, there was a lot of weird things that we saw in the voter rolls. Things that we didn't really understand were legal, not legal, it was just off to us. But when she pointed out a particular address in Bureau District 4, that's when it clicked in our head, wait a minute, that's Shakir Khan's address. Those are the 41 ballots that we saw. Is this legal? Is this proper? We don't know, but now we're going to look into it.
Okay, so just to recap here for a moment. A concerned citizen goes to their local sheriff's office with an analysis that they conducted of the local voter rolls, showing that something was amiss. And among the problems on these rolls was that Mr. Khan's address seemed to appear multiple times. The sheriffs, who remembered seeing those 41 ballots at Mr. Khan's house, then began to connect the dots. Here's how they continued in that presentation.
We located roughly 70 names that were registered to either Shakir Khan's house, his email, or his phone number that he had that we knew was factually his. And so that's 70 people that he was able to register using some sort of combination thereof. So through our previous investigation, we had access to his emails, and we did an analysis of his emails. And this is where we found on the one on the left, there's all the email receipts from the Secretary of State. When you go online to register to vote, you get an email response from the Secretary of State saying, we received a request to vote online or to register to vote. And so as you can see, these are all coming back to Shakir Khan's personal email that he used.
All right, the sponsor of today's episode is a phenomenal company called AMAC. That's AMAC, and it stands for the Association of Mature American Citizens. They are quite literally one of the fastest growing conservative organizations in all of America, and you should consider joining for three main reasons. The first is the money saving benefit, because as a member of AMAC, you get access to a ton of discounts at many different verticals. Things like vitamin stores, restaurants, retail shops, and so on and so forth. If you want to check out the full list, it's pretty exhaustive, you can do so over on AMAC's website. The second benefit is that you get exclusive access to the AMAC magazine. It'll be delivered directly to your doorstep, and it contains phenomenal coverage as well as deep analysis. And then the third benefit, the one that people say is their favorite, is that AMAC fights for your values over on Capitol Hill. In fact, you can check out the online version of this on their website. It's the AMAC Action Advocacy Annual Report, and it shows exactly what they're doing on Capitol Hill in terms of fighting what they call the socialist storm that's brewing in this country. So head on over to amac.us/factsmatter and sign up today. I'll also throw a link down in the description box below. And so, seeing this obvious anomaly, the sheriff's office decided to execute on a search warrant of the local election registrar's office. And once they came in and they pulled the documents and the voter rolls from the county, here's what they found.
So as we're going through the voter roll, and we got our own copy directly from the register of voter, we started going through it, and this is, we pulled the ballot envelopes. And as we're going through the ballot envelopes, we thought, hey, something jumps out at us. I don't know if you guys can see it, but all the handwriting seems to be the same. Right? Even look like maybe even the same pen. We don't know. It's highly unusual. Again, is this illegal? Not necessarily, but it is odd. It is odd. It does give us some concern. So we said we were going to look further into it.
Now, as all this was happening, as the sheriffs are building this case and making all these election-related discoveries, they decided to go back to Mr. Khan's home and do a compliance check on him regarding a separate matter, because he apparently left the state of California when he wasn't supposed to. And when they searched his home, lo and behold, well, they discovered ever more ballots. Take a listen.
We decided we're going to do a compliance check on Mr. Khan here. And so we went to his house to go check and see if he had any instruments of gambling or anything like that. And lo and behold, we find more ballots. This is in 2022, coming up to the 2022 election. Now, these are ballots. These are not filled out. These are not open. These are unopened ballots. But they're not for him, and they're not for
The sheriffs then give more and more evidence of fake signatures. They even showed videotapes of them going out into the local community and canvassing the residents, asking them whether they were really the ones to fill out these forms. And the local residents gave their accounts of how they were pressured to vote for Mr. Khan. And then, after conducting a thorough investigation, they determined that there was enough evidence to indict Mr. Sadir Khan on election fraud charges and bring him into jail, which they subsequently did. Then, after his arrest, Mr. Shakir Khan was released from jail under the condition that he wear an ankle monitor and not leave the state of California. And after he was let go, just as he was coming back home, a reporter from a local ABC affiliate was there waiting to ask Mr. Khan some questions. And there's one particular exchange that I believe is really worth highlighting. Take a listen.
I want to thank all my supporters, my family, and everybody for their support and prayers. And I want to make one thing clear. There are a lot of speculations around that I resigned from City Council. I want to make sure that people understand I did not resign from the City Council seat. I did not authorize anybody to release any statement on my behalf. And I think what happened was it was totally wrong that the mayor went into the lobby, a booking room, and just, under the pressure, asked me to resign. It was wrong. And I wasn't offered any attorney, client privilege, and I did not resign. I'm going to continue to serve the people of my district, and I worked hard for my campaign and all the community that supported me.
Now notice in that exchange that Mr. Khan said that he did not resign. However, up until that moment, there were quite a lot of news reports, local reports, saying that he actually did resign. And so, what's the truth? Well, lo and behold, the sheriff's office just released body cam footage from inside of the jailhouse showing that, indeed, Mr. Khan agreed to resign from the city council just hours after he was arrested on election fraud-related charges. Take a look.
I think you should step aside.
Huh?
I think you should resign.
Resign, right? It's better.
It looks bad. Think about your family. You got your kid. Is it even worth it at this point? You should just step aside, because the longer you're on the city council, the longer these stories go. It's one thing to be here. The worst thing is you have your kids watching.
Yeah.
Why even deal with that?
Yeah.
How about you fight it, and if you're cleared of all charges, you'll win in the next election.
Okay, I'll probably do that then.
It's worth it, Shaq.
That's why I want to personally thank you for coming here, and that's why I wanted to make sure I get your advice.
Yeah,
I'll do that,
Yeah, I think just to save yourself the headache, I'm happy to put out a statement saying I talked to Councilmember Khan. He agreed to resign, and I think that's the right course. I'm not going to say anything.
I will talk to my lawyer tomorrow, and then just have him, make a statement. Is that better?
Yeah. Well, so if it's okay with you, I'd like to just. Can I get a pen and a piece of paper? Let me just write out something for you.
Okay.
And if you agree to it, then we can just sign right here, and
Okay.
then I could go to the media, and at least it gets rid of the national. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? The line right below there. Yeah. Okay, I appreciate it.
Although now he's attempting to take back that decision, saying that he made it while under duress. But given the fact that his name has already been removed from the city website, that might be easier said than done. And so this is where the case now stands. Mr. Khan is expected to stand trial on multiple election-related felonies for the next several months. If you'd like to go deeper into this story, if you'd like to read the case documents or watch that sheriff's press conference in its entirety, I'll throw all those links down into the description box below this video so you can go deeper if you so like. And then lastly, I'd love to know your thoughts about this matter. Do you think that what was discovered here is an anomaly? Or do you think that it happens quite often throughout the whole country, but is just usually not discovered? And what are your thoughts about the new election laws over in California? Do you agree with them? Or do you think that they just lend themselves well to these types of fraud schemes? I'd love to know your thoughts. Please leave them in the comments section below. I'll be reading them later tonight as well as into the weekend. And then until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epic Times. Stay informed and most importantly, stay free.